Okay, it says we are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to our training tonight. I am pulling up my phone to make sure that we are in all the places. Would love to know where you are dialing in from, where you are checking us out, because I know we're streaming in all the places and I kind of feel like my lighting is off, guys. Let me know. Okay, so got a little mic check action. Got a little camera check action. So I think we are well. Okay, see if you are joining us. Where are you joining us from? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Facebook? Let me know. Let me know in the chat because I would love to say hello and welcome you before we dive into our session tonight. Full transparency, guys. It has been a day. It has been a day. So today I had carpool duty because of an appointment. And what was what was interesting with carpool duty? Ooh, interesting. Okay, got another booking. Phenomenal. Woohoo. All right. So what was interesting is that okay, so my youngest, he does not like to go to school late. So he was a little annoyed with me because he went to school a little bit late. My eldest, as I was dropping him off to school, I drove right past the school this morning. And then I was 11 minutes late to a training call. I don't take calls or appointments before noon. So this call was set at 10 o'clock, but it was a very important training call. So I was 11 minutes late to that one just because I'm not used to getting on any call prior to noon. So I couldn't calibrate. And then I was late to a podcast interview. So it's been a day, and I have been working out really hard, guys, just trying to get my health together. And I really believe that the workouts, like heavy lifting, I really believe that the workouts are impacting me in some kind of way, in some way, shape, or form. But nevertheless, what can you do, right? What can you do? I'm not going to stop working out, but I thought it was really, really interesting. So thank you, thank you, thank you for those of you who are here. We're going to let a couple more people jump in, and we are going to get this show on the road. I'm actually pulling up our uh, other platforms just to make sure that we are streaming. I have no co-host tonight, so it's just me doing my thing and making sure that we are live in all the places. Feel free to share if you're looking, joining us through a particular link. Feel free to share the link on all the socials. Share it with a buddy. It's a buddy system. Share it with a friend. Okay, we are live here. Oh, okay, cool. That's great. I'm just gonna check these off. All right, it says we're live on YouTube. Awesome. We're not live on Instagram. I think I've given up on Instagram. Okay, it appears that we're live on LinkedIn as well. Phenomenal. And we're live on Facebook. Okay, so I'm gonna make my peace with it. Honestly, that's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. Because we're not just putting content out there to put content out there. We're putting it out there because we think what we have to share is impactful and it could really help someone out. Okay, so I want to calibrate and position my comments section in such a way that I can see it. Where did it go? I used to have it somewhere. I won't take much longer, guys. I just want to see. I don't know. I don't know what's happening there. Okay, and then my lighting. Last but not least, let's enhance my lighting a little bit. It's like a phone app. Oh, I look really yellow, don't I? Let's cool it down a bit. Let's just turn that one on a bit. Okay, the lights are on. The lights are on. Awesome. Okay, so let me make sure that we are set. I still can't see my comments section, and that's going to bother me, guys, because I want to address all of your questions. I assure you, if I don't address them right away, I will get to them even if I have to go back in and respond to them, okay? So, how are we doing with mic check? Do we sound okay? Let's see, show scenes. Okay, scenes are there. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Okay, so hopefully, my friends, hopefully the comments will pop up for me. I just don't want to just start talking and then if you have a question, right, all of a sudden I cannot find it. That's bizarre. That is bizarre. But nevertheless, okay, let's get started. Take a deep breath, right? Okay, so all is well. Welcome, everyone. So last month, an insurance company offered one of my students $7,500 per month for her rental property. And her mortgage, guys, was just $3,300 per month, which is kind of high, but with the $7,500 a month, that's pretty significant, right? Well, let's talk about it. Welcome. Today, my name is Dr. Rachel Gainsborough. I am a former pharmacist that was drowning in student loan debt. I never really imagined the possibilities that real estate investing could bring to my life. I didn't realize it could be this profitable. And it became profitable when I discovered a really little known secret inside of the homeowners insurance relocation market. And so today I'm breaking down exactly how doctors, dentists, pharmacists, other medical professionals can tap into this opportunity, even if they're working full time and have zero real estate experience. For those of you who are new, welcome back and welcome to the Luxury Rental Doctor Show. I'm Dr. Rachel Gainsborough, your host. I help busy doctors create wealth through real estate without sacrificing their time or their sanity. So today we're diving into what I call the two-door strategy. And so this is a methodology that has helped, I would say, 2,725 busy professionals inside of our community create meaningful, significant income with minimal properties. Before we dive in, I want to share something really personal about myself. So I remember when I was working those long 14-hour shifts in the pharmacy, I was drowning in nearly $500,000 of student loan debt. I was missing my kids' milestones, and honestly, I was dying inside. If that sounds familiar to you, I want you to stick around because I'm going to show you exactly how my husband and I, we changed that. So the first thing I want to dive into is why most doctors struggle with real estate investing. So you're already working crazy hours. You don't have time to manage 20 different properties, and you're super worried about taking on more debt, right? Rightly so. And you know what? More importantly, and what was significant to me was that I didn't want to go into a particular strategy that didn't provide me a meaningful enough income to want to cut back or step away a bit. Okay. So you need significant income, not just a couple $100s per door. Okay. So that's why inside of our community, it's a whole different strategy. This is not your grandmother's real estate investing. This is not fix and flip. This is not driving for dollars or knocking on doors or anything like that. So and the reason why we kind of pivoted because what most gurus won't tell you is that you really do not need a massive portfolio to create meaningful income. They think you do, but you don't. And I started off, I cut my teeth on the bigger pockets world, and I thought I needed to scale that way. And what I've observed, I'm very observant. And I want to know the ending of the story before I even get to, I would say, the middle, like the whole hero's journey. I want to see what the ending of the story looks like. And so what I saw is those who are trying to scale too quickly, they really killed their deals. They really killed those dreams of that freedom, of the ability to cut back to zero point 0.5 FTEs. They killed those dreams even before they started. And so I did not want that for myself. And so I went a whole different route. And this is where I leverage and I created essentially the two-door strategy. So this is where it comes in. So here's where the door strategy comes in. And this is how it works. So first and foremost, the first door, also known as the first property. So that's like a moniker we use inside of the real estate realm. Doors mean properties. It can signify multifamily properties and so on and so forth. However, we focus on single family homes primarily. Okay. So your first door is a short-term rental property that is located in an amazing strategic location. And then we pivot that property into what is called a midterm rental property that is targeting insurance relocation guests. Okay. And from there, we scale to our second door. We start with a short term rental property, and then we pivot that to a midterm rental property. And the reason why, and we won't dive into tax strategy, so definitely check out all of our videos related to tax strategy. The reason why we start with short term rental, because there are some absolutely amazing life-changing tax strategies associated with the short-term rental. And what's amazing about these strategies is they do not require you to do anything out of the ordinary. Inside of our world, there's something called real estate professional status, rep status, which if you're a burnt out doctor working full-time, you're not going to qualify for that. So don't even try. It's a waste of your energy, unfortunately. And so with the short-term rental loophole, it essentially you get a lot of the benefits that someone with rep status would get without having to, quit your job altogether if you are not intending to do so right away. Okay. So now let me break down a couple of real examples. So our very first purchase was a property that we purchased for $290,000. We used a local credit union in our market and we put 5% down to purchase that property. We leveraged we had piled up cash to furnish the property. We had borrowed a little bit from our 401k. I'm not your financial advisor, so anything I share, guys, is completely our personal experience and it's for educational purposes only. So let's go back to this property. So $290,000, we named it the Linux Star. And so with just 5% down, we were generating $6,500 per month in rent within 30 days. Within 30 days. And so here's where it gets really, really interesting. So that was our first property. It was a short-term rental. Now, the second property that we leveraged started off as a short-term rental. We got a few bookings as a short-term rental. And once that calendar year was up, we converted it to a midterm rental. So say you purchase a property in October and you rent it out as a short-term rental a few times, just like Dr. Trang inside of our community. So you rent it out. It's a cool story. I won't go into it right this second. So you rent it out for a short-term rental during that calendar year, and it averages less than 7 days stay on average per booking. October, November, December, you're renting it as a short-term rental. Well, come January, you can position it as a midterm rental or even outsource the management of that property and still benefit from massive tax write-offs and just it's amazing. So Dr. Annie, we were just having a conversation. She actually got a huge refund check in the mail. And what she said to me struck me. She says, wow, when I got that refund check because of this particular tax strategy, I had to ask myself, how many hours would I have to work to get this, to get this payout? And that's really significant. She has a private practice and she's actually in California, which is absolutely amazing. Okay. All right. So back to the second property, launched it as a short-term rental. We repositioned it as a midterm rental. And now we were learning more about the insurance relocation strategy. That property brought in $9,500 a month. Okay. $9,500 a month. So why does this strategy work so well? Well, here's the deal. When we are not competing with the rental market as a whole, the traditional long-term rental market as a whole, we are positioning ourselves in a way where we're serving a specific need. So whenever you niche and you're serving a specific need, you're going to stand out from the crowd. So we provide fully furnished homes for families who are displaced from their homes by what is considered an insurance claim, whether it's a fire or a water pipe that bursts or a hurricane or a flood. There's so many reasons why, unfortunately, families are displaced from their home. As a matter of fact, according to Scientific American, 6.1 million families were displaced from their home in 2022. I don't have the 2023 numbers, but that's huge. That's huge. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit about Dr. Esther. I mentioned her in the beginning. So at 8 months pregnant, she was able to implement this particular strategy, which is one property. She's a super busy hospitalist, and she got that very first booking. It was $7,500 per month for 3 months from an insurance company. Her mortgage was $3,300 per month. You do the math. It was absolutely amazing that she was able to serve her community in that way. And here's what's interesting about this strategy is that most of the bookings have to extend due to a number of issues, whether it's a supply chain issue or a permitting didn't go through or the contractors don't show up. It's rare that I see these projects complete on time and on budget. So again, you do the math. Okay, so Dr. Katie, she's a California mom inside of our community. When I first met her, she had 3 kids under the age of 5. Okay. Now, her very first property she purchased was in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. She purchased yet another property there. And her third property that she purchased was on the East Coast in Tennessee. That very first property generated $86,000 in her first year. And in fact, Gordon, inside of our mastermind, just last week shared a super fascinating story. He got a booking from a family who was displaced from their home because the pressure washing company accidentally over pressure washed the family's home. It was super bizarre, right? Sounds nuts. And so turns out the water seeped through the property. It caused all kinds of mold issues. And now the family needs a 6-month stay while their property repairs are being done. So this is exactly what I mean. This is not just about what we saw with Hurricane Helene in on the East Coast or the fires in Palisades. We have these unexpected situations happening every single day. And sadly, they're unexpected, but they're reliable. They continue to happen again and again and again. Dr. Elena inside of our community now, she was a physician out of Uzbekistan. She's a nurse case manager here in the U.S. Now she's out of a market called Simsbury, Connecticut, which is one that you wouldn't expect this particular strategy to work. As she was launching it, she was like, Rachel, this is not a touristic hotspot. I just don't know if this is going to work. Well, we went ahead and launched it. And what they encountered recently was something called a microburst. So think of like a mini tornado in the middle of Connecticut. I don't know if Simsbury is in the middle of Connecticut, but it's in Connecticut somewhere. And it ended up damaging several streets. And so within days, she got 5 inquiries from a variety of insurance companies as well as an insurance adjuster. And now she's housing a family at her premium rate. She is booked for 6 months as they repair that particular property. So this is the conversations that we are having. This is what we're seeing time and time again. I would love, love, love to take a pause, take a beat, and see what questions you're having about this particular strategy. Again, we are positioning properties in a way that will attract these types of guests, in a way that will serve families who are displaced during a disaster, whether it's a natural disaster or an accidental disaster. So there are a variety of ways that we can name it. I've heard it called disasters displays, insurance and midterm rentals, and so on and so forth. So the strategy is we start with a short-term rental and then we pivot to a midterm rental. Once we have leveraged our tax benefits, we have met what is called material participation. We've done our cost segregation study, and now we shift gears to the midterm rental and take advantage of that breathing room that you get when you're serving a family for 3 months, 6 months, 13 months, depending on the level of disaster that they have encountered. Okay. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to take a beat. I really want to find the Q&A. I feel like questions are coming in and I'm just not seeing them. And that's making me a little nervous and a little bit anxious. I don't like it one bit. So let's have a look. I saw, okay, you know what? I think it's in here somewhere. I think it's in here. Rachel, put on your thinking cap. Boom! I saw, yay! Hi, Laura. Okay, this is phenomenal. I found it. Just one little click, guys. Just one little click just did the trick. So I'm feeling really good about that. I got my one click and I'm locked and loaded, which is awesome. Okay. Yay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the sound check. I so appreciate it. Okay. So guys, yeah, feel free to drop questions and there might be a little bit of a delay when the questions come in. However, if I don't see them right away and I don't get to them tonight and I need to stop hitting the mic, I don't get to them tonight, I am more than happy to circle back and make sure that we get them all addressed. Okay. Sounds good. Awesome. Okay, so some of the chatter that I've heard inside of the world of this midterm rental strategy, I'm feeling a little self-conscious about my hair, so let me see. All of a sudden, I'm feeling it. I don't know why. Oh my gosh, just relax, Rachel. It's been a day. It's been a day. Okay, so some of the chatter that I hear from time to time is like, okay, Dr. Rachel, this sounds absolutely too good to be true. What about market crashes? What if I can't find properties in my area? What if I don't get bookings? Well, you know what? Let me address some of the top concerns that I hear over and over again. So for those of you who are thinking this sounds good to be true, oh my gosh, trust me, I totally get it. and rightly so, right? As doctors, medical professionals, busy professionals, I work with a lot of engineers inside of our community as well. We are trained to be super skeptical. Okay, so that is why it's always important to start with the data. So when insurance companies have an extra $1.03 trillion in surplus, and they're required by law to house displaced families, that creates a reliable demand. It is unfortunate for sure, but there is a demand there, right? So it's not about getting lucky. It is just about positioning yourself to serve a consistent need. Just like in medicine, we're solving a specific problem for a specific group of people, especially if you specialize. This is what we're talking about, okay? For those of you who are wondering about, well, what about market crashes? Here's the fascinating part. During economic downturns, right? You know, we have seen a lot of ups and downs in the past. So during economic downturns, our strategy becomes even more important. It's so much more valuable. And the reason is because when times get tough, more people rely on their insurance claims to help them out. So say a water pipe bursts or a fire happens or a home needs a major repair due to some type of catastrophe. These things still happen whether the economy is up or the economy is down. And what I have seen in our own portfolio in our markets, we're primarily in the suburban markets in a variety of states. What I've seen is that the accidental claims make up 80% of our bookings. Okay, so for those sitting back, let me say that one more time. The accidental claims make up 80% of our bookings. The other 20% of our midterm rental bookings come in due to like natural disasters, such as hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes and so on and so forth. Okay, so this particular strategy is not vacation, rental, or touristic market dependent. And so we're not necessarily leaning into the discretionary income of individuals. These are really a need-based relocation strategy that is funded by your homeowners insurance companies, such as Allstate, State Farm, et cetera, et cetera. And so inside of our community, I really lean into a methodology called Crow Method. So if you're wondering, well, will this work in my market? I don't know where to find a market. I'm in a market where it's cost prohibitive and I need to expand my horizons a little bit. Well, that's where the Crow methodology comes in. And so what the Crow methodology states is you want to look in a market that is in your own backyard. So I start with C. Crow stands for a market that you're connected to. Say it's a market that you have traveled to in the past, a market that is in your own backyard, or a place that you've vacationed in or you've traveled for work in that particular market. So C starts with connected, and R goes to a market that's recommended by a professional in the space. So your realtors may have recommendations, lenders. I've gotten recommendations from title companies, from closing attorneys, from even cleaners. Okay. So it's really important to lean into what some of the professionals are stating they're seeing as amazing deals. And from there, you can run the numbers. But before we run the numbers, I want to go to O. O is for on trend. So we can leverage reports such as reports that are provided by the large midterm rental conglomerates, such as Furnish Finder or Corporate Housing by Owner. These companies, they provide some really, interesting reports depending on who it is that you're looking to serve. Furnish Finder I find to be more travel nurse centric. However, it is curious to see the number of searches that occur in that particular market. They do a good job of giving you like a quick dashboard glance of the demand in a variety of markets. So I love that. So on trend, what is on trend? What is the data telling us? And W comes from word of mouth. So if you're inside of our community, in our Facebook group, in our masterminds, or in other masterminds with real estate investors, as you listen in and you hear the markets that they're investing in for midterm rentals or short-term rentals that are being leveraged as a hybrid and converted to midterm rentals, it's going to be really important that you jot those down to start to create your list of potential markets. And from there, I use a filtering process. So the first filtration process is what I call my ROI 50 rule. So I want to see 50% occupancy rate in that particular market. And hear me out, it's not that our properties are only occupied 50%. However, the market as a whole, if there's a 50% occupancy rate, it means that there are travelers coming to the area. There are transactions being made in the area for furnished housing. And so it really puts you in a great position. And so we're leveraging specific systems to identify and analyze these particular markets to find the inefficiencies in the markets and to, capitalize on those inefficiencies. So that's the 50%. And the second portion of the metric that we leverage inside of that first filtration process is a 15% gross yield. So the revenue, the price to rent ratio. So the revenue potential divided by the purchase price of the property. And if that is 15% or higher, we're in good shape. If it's 12%, we can probably finagle a few things, pull a few levers, get the property purchase price to come down a little bit, increase, force a little bit more value into the property, value add to get that rental revenue to come up. And then we're in great shape. And outside of that, from there, now you have a short list because not all of the properties are going to meet those requirements. And now you have a short list of a specific market that might just work. Okay. And so when it comes to this particular strategy, we're not just looking for any old property. We're looking for properties that actually meet the needs of the high value insurance relocation. So I focused on the high value insurance relocations. These families, they typically have pets like a Labrador or, what's that yellow dog called? What is the yellow dog? It looks like a Labrador, but it's kind of fluffy. It's big. It's kind of sweet and it's very smart. I don't remember what that yellow dog is called. Golden Retriever. Boom! Found it. So we have little dogs. So these families are looking for pet-friendly stays. They are looking for properties that are near really good schools. So our buy box is really well defined, and the buy box will make or break your deal. End of story. They will make or break your deal. And I was so grateful to hear members of our community say, I went exactly through the buy box. I bought exactly through the buy box. And to hear that they're getting bookings even before they furnish the property because of the demand is just a game changer for me. And so for those of you who are thinking, okay, I don't have the time, right? I get it, right? This hits home. I used to work crazy hours in the pharmacy, 14-hour shifts. And the reality though is if you systematize this particular business, it takes less than 2 hours a week. You can automate 70% of your messaging. You use a dynamic pricing tool that pushes the pricing out to the property. You may or may not need a VA, a virtual assistant. My husband and I, we tag teamed it until we got to over 10 properties. Again, yes, the focus is 2 doors, but we did continue to expand as the real estate ended up retiring us early. So we had to get something, right? Get something going and keep ourselves busy. And so we manage a pretty decent portfolio. Uh, so you can use reliable tools and one virtual assistant or a spouse or a child in your family, and you're integrating them into the business as well. So Dr. Gabby, she's an OBGYN inside of our community. She manages her properties and she managed them for a very long time while working full time. Thank goodness now she's down to a point two, not a point five, but a point two FTE. She figured out how to implement and install the systems inside of her business so that she didn't have to work as hard. It was like the properties were working harder for her than she was working for it. So that is the absolute dream. Okay, so I get the question oftentimes about squatters and bad tenants and so on and so forth. So I totally get it. We've heard the horror stories of squatters and bad tenants. We've heard the stories of having to evict people, and it just weighs on you, right? And so, knock on wood, I'm so grateful to say that we have never, ever, ever experienced that in our lives. And the reason is that these families are typically individuals who have homes that they own that are located in the market where your home is located, right? And they just want their home to be built back up so they can move back into their home. They do not want to squat in your home. They have their own homes, right? And so you want to do some mild vetting to make sure that this is exactly who you're serving. But yeah, we do not have problems with squatters. Can it happen? Anything can happen, right? In this day and age. But this is where I really think this midterm rental strategy shine. We're not dealing with a weekend party crowd, or we're not dealing with a long-term tenant who might just stop paying, right? Our residents, our guests, our tenants, our families who have their own home. And guess what? We get paid every month, not by the guest, not by the tenant. We get paid every single month by the insurance company, and they also are on the hook. Okay. What's great about the this avatar is you can put in systems to mitigate risk as well. Like every single month, we have cleanings at our properties. Non-negotiable. That is a non-negotiable. So we get a deep cleaning every single month that is baked into the monthly rate. And while the cleanings are occurring, a little life hack is our cleaners are also inspecting the place and reporting back on how the property is maintained. Okay, so I don't want you to take the mindset of a long-term rental landlord that you just outsource to someone else so that they can take care of the asset. That is not a vibe. 2, 3, 5 years from now, you go into the property and it's a whole gut job, right? It's a whole gut job because that individual really lived in the space and they really I've seen so many horror stories, and I'm sure you have as well. Okay. So again, we've never seen any significant issues with the insurance placement, but can it happen? Absolutely, it can happen. So how do we mitigate against those risks? We're going to have our scheduled cleanings and we're going to take some deposits. And what do I mean by some deposits? Well, we're going to take a refundable and a non-refundable deposit. And so the refundable deposit is that big deposit that you take on to ensure that, I would say overt damage. If overt damage happens, then the refundable deposit, we can tap into that to fix some of those damages. And so we have had to use it before. We had a kid that was messing around with the electrical. It was like $1,200. Their deposit was like $7,500. So we tapped into that and got it fixed. Now, the non-refundable deposit is my favorite, and this is one of the ways that we're able to keep our operational costs down. So the non-refundable is something small, like anywhere from $500 to $1,500. So in between each turn, we're able to use those funds to replace some linens, to paint the scuff marks, to like touch up the space, So hopefully that makes sense. So I love the little non-refundable deposit that we implemented. So be sure to think about that. That really helps keep our costs down because otherwise it would be coming out of our pocket. Okay. All right. So for those of you who are thinking, okay, I don't know anything about real estate investing. Well, guess what? I didn't either when I started. I actually started by consuming a whole lot of Bigger Pockets podcast episodes. I grew up in the inner city of Miami, or the urban center of Miami. We were just so grateful to have our own home, but it's not like our parents were building a portfolio or anything like that. We just did not have the means. As a matter of fact, financial literacy was not a part of the equations because there was not a lot of finances to literate upon. And so I did the thing and went on to school, got the doctorate, and I became a pharmacist, and I could barely change a light bulb when I started on my real estate journey. But here's what I did have. What I did have was a spreadsheet and a lot of attention to detail. Okay. And so using that, I was able to create systems. I was able to follow directions and follow systems and really create I would say, operating procedure, an SOP for quality care. I wanted to make sure that every single guest felt like they were seen, felt like they were taken care of. And what's interesting about that, though, is I find that a lot of our medical professionals, and if you're not a medical professional, no dig on you, it's just the perspective that I can speak to. I find that a lot of the medical professionals that I work with, those same exact skills that they leverage to take care of patients, so patient care is what we call it, we can then install that into our guest care processes. So these are the exact skills that medical professionals are leveraging to excel with this strategy. So I think that's super, super dope. Okay. So every successful member in our community, they started with a lot of doubts. I was just speaking with someone in our community. She's like, how do I get out of my own way? And so it was amazing just to see the members just rally around her and say, just do it. You can do it. You can do it. I had my own doubts. I pre-marketed the property, and we'll do a whole episode on pre-marketing. It's a vibe. My revenue manager hates that I do that. So there's a lot of controversy there. However, when our members shared, I pre-marketed my property before the furnishings even arrived. There were 7 bookings, there were 4 bookings. And so that kind of bolstered her up. And she's a dentist in our community. Hopefully she's watching and she knows that we are supporting her every single way. Okay, so I just wanted to share with you that the biggest risk, in my opinion, the biggest risk lies when we're not taking action. Right? The biggest risk lies when we're not taking action. If we're going to stay stuck, we are going to end up trading more of our time for money until we completely burn ourselves out. And I do not want to normalize that. Okay. So the fact that there are systems out there, whether it's inside of our community or elsewhere, there are systems out there to get started so that you can work on your own terms as busy medical professionals. Okay. So if you are thinking to yourself, okay, Rachel, I've heard you out. I hear you out. I hear you out. I need to learn more. So if that is you, my friend, and you're ready to learn more about implementing the two-door strategy, well, I'm super excited to announce that I created a free guide. This is my top 75 cities with the highest profitability for short and midterm rentals. All you need to do is visit 75gems.com. That is 75gems.com. Let me say that again because I felt like I just kind of rolled over some of the letters. That is the number 7, the number 5, gems.com, and you can download it right now. Okay. You can totally download it right now. And if you feel like you'd like to work directly with me, we are currently accepting a few applications for the month of February inside of the Luxury Rental Academy, where we will walk you through step by step and just help you out with the process. Okay. So if you walk away with one thing from this episode, it would be this: you do not need 100 doors to create meaningful wealth through real estate. Sometimes less is more, my friend. This is Dr. Rachel Gainsborough signing off. Do not forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, a review if you found this to be helpful. Until next time, keep thinking bigger, keep dreaming bigger. Goodbye for now.